Hello everyone, Pat here. If you're a normal follower and subscriber to the channel, you'll know that I've had my hands on the Henry X model in 357 and the 44. I've had my hands on the 357 for a little over a month and the 44 for a little over 2 weeks, and they've both proven to be an absolute blast. What this video is this is going to be a comparison between the two of them, my thoughts and, just general observations between the two. I've got a few hundred rounds through them, so I believe I've got a little bit of an opinion to make. But basically, several guys had either emailed me, shot me messages through Instagram, or in the comment section said, which would you pick, the 357 or the 44? And I guess what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through, give my thoughts on each, and we'll make a determination at the end of the video. So as for the specs, they are both 36 inches long. They both have a 14-inch length of pull. They both have 17.4-inch barrels and weigh 7.3 pounds. They both have the same fiber optic sights. They're both threaded 5H24. And if you were to hand me both of them blindfolded, I could tell you which one is which, only because of the action. Now, this is the 44. The 44 is relatively smooth. It's right at 250 rounds. Now, the 357, that one's approaching 1,200 rounds, and it has slicked up just magnificently. So again, like I said, if you handed me the two of them, I could tell you the difference just blindfolded because of the way the lever feels. So if you get one and you think it's just a little bit stiff at first, which it isn't, it will get much better, and then when you get your hands on a new one, you'll feel the difference. There's a huge difference. Okay, so your first consideration is probably going to be price. Henry has an MSRP on these listed at $970. Both of these were bought with a street price of $759. They were purchased from Hiwassee Firearms in Calhoun, Tennessee. Go check those guys out. But as for that, they're apples and apples. So now ammunition is going to be your next big deciding factor. As for me, I reload. So factory bought ammunition, that's not really a consideration to me, because loading 44 versus 357, there's not a huge amount of difference. I load both of them. They both share a lot of the same powders. There's not a huge difference in the cost of the projectiles. You're talking just pennies between the two of them. So as for me, I'm unbiased on price. But if you're standing at the shelf in your store, you're going to notice that 38 specials average around $16, $17 for 50. That's what I've been noticing around here, across manufacturers, across bullet types, and across the different stores. 357s are going to average anywhere from $25 to $30 a box for 50. So that places you're going to start being in that 60 cents a round range for 357 Magnums. Now, 44 Magnums, that's where it starts getting dicey. Those start for 50 rounds, they're going to start $40 and up. So you're going to be going in at 80 cents a round for loaded factory ammunition all the way up. So that may be a big consideration that keeps a lot of you guys away from the 44. But if you start reloading, you won't care. So now both rifles can be fitted with an appropriate suppressor and loaded with subsonic ammunition and give you just an absolute pleasurable shooting experience. They could be used in a hunting situation where you don't want to spook your game and whatnot. But as for just bringing out a new enthusiast and getting them used to a firearm, a suppressed lever action in either caliber would be a great way to win the hearts and minds of people that are otherwise undecided as to whether they like firearms or not. Okay, so as for accuracy, we fitted the 357 with the primary arms 4 through 14. Now, it might be just a little bit overkill, but what we've done is we've taken a lot of the variables out. That way, it's all rifle. So one of the best groups that I've shot, this right here was 5 rounds of this PMC 158 grain. You have 4 rounds to that same ragged hole and 1 flyer. You can cover it up with a quarter. Okay, so now David, what he had done is he had shot this thing at 100 yards, and this is Matchmaster 158 grain FMJ at 850 to 950 feet, or to 900 feet per second. And he had gotten a 1.58 inch group without the flyer, and it's 3.3 inches with the flyer. So without that flyer, that was very impressive. And again, this is at 100 yards. So now that gecko he had given me a box of this gecko that I had shot in the first video, and he had gotten a 1.15 inch without the flyer. And of course, here's our flyer, and that places everything at 3.11 inches. So you can see that this one is a very accurate little shooter, even with 38s jumping for that longer chamber to the rifling. So now here is his test with the 357 Magnum. He's got Hornady critical duty 357 Magnum, and what he has is 1.62 inches without the flyer and 3.89 inches including the flyer. And this again is at 100 yards. And now this is a Remington 38 Special Plus P. Is 125 grain, and he's showing at 3.62 inches. So even if you take a flyer off, it's still pretty wide. Now, we have not put the 44 on paper. As awesome as these fiber optic sights are, the 357 is at a clear advantage with that scope mounted. We may be able to do some paper testing with this one shortly. But now, to go back to the beginning of the video and answer your guys' questions, whether you choose the 357 or the 44, well, that all depends on you. If you're wanting it for hunting, let's say white-tailed deer, both rifles, it seems to be a general consensus by everyone that 100 to 125 yards is a good ethical kill with either rifle on a white-tailed deer. As for hogs, definitely you're going to get about 500 foot-pounds more kinetic energy out of the 44. Let's go with a 44. If ammo consideration, if you're looking for cheaper shooting, 38 and 357 is it. 44 is quite a bit more expensive off the shelf. As for a reloader, I don't care. I'll shoot them both. Now, if you're recoil sensitive, I don't see either one of them aggravating you. I would hand this rifle to anyone that actually has the physical upper body strength to hold it. The 44, it is a considerable amount more recoil, but it doesn't hurt. Now, as for the 357, it's not even a soft push. When you pull the trigger on it, the recoil on it is just like a mere suggestion that you move. It's not much at all. But as for me, if you asked me to pick between the 357 and the 44, I'd probably take both of them and storm out of the room, because I'm not going to pick a favorite. I know the 44 has a little bit of a special place in my heart, but the 357, it's, I don't know if you'd call it, it's kind of like picking a favorite child. I just couldn't do it. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, please consider subscribing. But first and foremost, I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you next video. Y'all take care. But as for me, if you made me pick between the 357 and the... Boy, somebody's getting on it out there.